In 2006, a dynamic dance duo formed to take on the world. This Anglo-Australian partnership promptly traveled the globe, learning from the masters of dance. If no one else has the answers, and if you can find them, maybe you should get in touch with Dizzyfeet.
If you've got the questions,
we've got the answers. Good evening, everybody. Say good evening, Kelly.
Good evening, Kelly.
So here we are, once again, Friday nights, coming to you live from our little back
Office.
bedroom. It's a back bedroom, really, isn't it?
Wow, yeah, we use it as an office.
We do, yeah.
So I call it the office.
Let's.
Mm.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the intro credits. That's something I've been working on this week. Kelly's not impressed with them, are you, Kelly?
I hated doing that. I hated it. And I hate watching it.
Why?
I do.
Well.
What were you going to say?
Oh dear, but good to start with a chuckle.
Who
Oh
said that?
dear. Brecon Beacon said, oh dear.
It was supposed to be a chuckle.
Yes. Yeah. Well. Yeah, I want to start to. I want to do things a bit different.
You did put in a lot of effort.
Yeah.
Didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you had to as well. You had to go outside and film me in the cold.
Oh, that wasn't too bad.
Mm.
I just didn't like doing all the other bits that you wanted me to do.
Yes, true. Yeah.
Didn't like that. No. Don't like looking at myself like that or any of that sort of thing. So,
No.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about that, are we?
No, we're not. No, we're not. I'm really tired.
Are you?
I feel like I could go to sleep.
Well, today's little workshop that you've got to watch is all about footwork, isn't it, Kel?
Yeah, because last week there was a few mentions of that,
There was.
wasn't there? So that's what
Yeah.
you decided.
That's what you can watch, and we'll have a chat about that afterwards if you want. But obviously, this is the opportunity for you to tell us all those other questions, the pressing questions of dance that you're interested in getting to know about, so that I can put together another little video, or we can help you now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fire away.
Fire away, everyone, or anything actually.
Oh, Andy said I thought. Oh, it was well, Andy or Nicola, whichever one said it was well thought out and well done. Thank you. Sigrid loved the intro as well.
Oh, Sigrid's watching. She's
Good
allowed to
evening.
watch tonight, is she?
Good evening, Jonathan. Margaret wants my red boots.
Well, we might have to do an auction for them then.
We might have to auction
Yeah,
them.
we can auction them
That's
off.
a good idea.
Let's
Yeah.
auction them off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the heel has got a bit of something on them.
Yeah, but that can be rectified, can't it?
I think
To be
so.
honest, if Margaret was to have them, they would sit in a cupboard, wouldn't they? I'm not sure she'd wear them, would she? She might do. Actually, Margaret might venture out to Waitrose in them, to be
yeah,
honest.
I mean, they do have a dance sole on them. They have a dance sole on them. So if you wanted to wear them outside, you'd have to get that changed. They are actually a dance shoe. They were made on a dance shoe last. So, yeah, they're based on a ballroom shoe, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've only had one dance-related question so far, really, dancing one. Baps and Co say, do you still have your dresses, or do you sell them?
I usually sell them. I don't have very many left now, do I?
For a pittance.
I have
Yeah.
one black one, which was only ever used for shows. I have a red one and a blue one left. Yeah, that's it. And the red and the blue one I use for the Pro-Am comps that I do, but I need a new one. Really. So those will all go for sale soon, actually, because I need something new, don't I? Yeah, no, I don't tend to keep them because it's as soon as you're finished dancing with them.
I like the way that Jonathan
Jonathan
Latter says, I do not want to see my mum in those boots. Brilliant.
Appropriate, probably, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so they just sit in the cupboard otherwise, so there's no point keeping them at all. So yeah, I tend to sell them. I don't tend to get attached, really, to any of them.
I'm just getting to that Sarah Ball. I'm getting to that in a second.
That's it, really? I don't tend to get attached to my dresses.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You just wear them. You just wear them. Why? What? Margaret has just replied to Jonathan's message. Why not?
I think probably she's joking.
I don't think she is. I think she's a little bit. What's the word? I can't think of a word.
I don't think you need to.
No. I'm going to move on. We had a question from Sarah Ball about a dancing related question actually, Sarah, I might address what you're suggesting or asking, in the video that's coming up. So I can't remember exactly if I did or not. So we talk about ballroom footwork, and we talk about some Latin footwork, and
not a lot of Latin though, is there?
But there's not a lot to talk about with Latin, really. In a simplistic sense, there's not. It'll become clear when you watch the video.
Okay.
So I'll come back to your question about Latin feet, usage of feet in Latin afterwards, if we haven't addressed it, which I might not have done, or I can elaborate on that. Okay, and if anyone's got anything else dancing related, I need to know what you want to know about, so I can create the video for next week.
So our first video was on sway, which I thought you did really well with that.
Thank you very much, darling.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well done.
You saw this other one though, didn't you? Because you were sat behind the camera.
Yeah, I was there when we filmed this one.
Yes.
And the footwork one, I thought was really good. So yeah, we're going to cover sway, footwork. Think of another topic.
Well, posture and poise.
Posture, yeah, we're going to cover that.
Posture and poise is something we need to do. I could do that tomorrow for next week or something else.
Posture's a big subject, isn't it? So
it is, but you want to simplify it to a certain degree in terms of just discussing it for this sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, you'd be talking about it forever. Anyway, should we watch the video?
Shall
I put the workshop on? If no one's got any questions pressing, then wants to ask us stuff and talk
I think
about
they
things.
just like to sit and watch us talk, don't they?
I think you could be right. You could be right. Yeah. Yeah, I think
I
that's
don't know
then.
why, because we don't really talk about very much.
We don't really, do we? Oh, I've broken a nail. Look, I've taken a great big chunk out of it. Look.
That's really not for now.
Right, let's watch the video then. Oh, okay.
Oh, we've got a question, have we?
Ju's question is, why is there a restricted syllabus in Viennese Waltz in England but not in Europe? That is, Viennese Waltz has only got 4 figures. Well, yeah, 5 figures really. So you've got a natural turn, a reverse turn, a change step, okay, which takes you from one to the other, and then you've got a natural fleckerel or a reverse fleckerel. You can really group those into one, and then you've got a contra check that takes you from the reverse fleckerel into the natural fleckerel. That's it. That's all the steps there are in Viennese Waltz. Now, the Bright Sparks and the WDSF, formerly the IDSF in Europe, decided to add extra steps because they thought the Viennese Waltz was boring.
Yeah.
That's it, really. They just added extra stuff.
I don't like it, actually.
No, we're not fans, are we, of that
No,
side
I
of
just
things.
think Viennese Waltz is what it is, and why change it? I don't get it. Really.
I don't think it needs anything.
I don't
extra,
think
really.
it adds any value to the dance itself, so I don't see the point.
I can understand because you've got Latin dancers, 5 Latin dancers. They're all very different, and they all have a wide range of syllabus that you can do from very low grade right up to world class dancers. And in ballroom you only have 4 of those really, because you've got a wide range of figures and steps you can do in waltz, tango, foxtrot and quick step. But in Viennese Waltz you're really quite limited. That's just the way it's always been. I don't know why you need to reinvent things and come up with more things to cram into a dance. Viennese Waltz has a certain class and beauty about it, and there's a discipline involved in doing the same thing repetitively over and over again. So it has a very different look, a different feel about it, and I see it as a challenge dance or a disciplined dance where you're doing the same thing over and over all the time, and everyone's doing the same thing. In a way, Viennese Waltz is easier to judge and measure than the other dances because pretty much everyone's doing the same thing. Now, I watched a video the other day.
Yeah, it reveals a lot.
Absolutely. I watched a video the other day of the WDSF champions. They've retired now. What's his name? I've forgotten his name now. He's so important I've forgotten his name.
Yeah, cool.
No. They were the amateur champions, and then did a bit of pro, and then retired. Can't remember his name. Anyway, I think he's anyway, it doesn't matter. I watched them do some waltz. Well, I didn't know it was waltz because there was no music playing. The video just came up on the feed, and there was no music. I couldn't tell what dance it was until I looked in the information. The sound didn't work. I couldn't tell what dance it was until I flicked down into the description, and it told me the song that was playing, which was "If I Were a Painting" by Kenny Rogers. Because I could not tell what dance they were doing from the figures, because they didn't close their feet once at all. There was no closing actions. Everything was passing, and there was lots of spins and shapes and that sort of thing. But I had no idea what dance it was. I couldn't tell the rhythm or anything from just watching it. So in that instance, of course, going back to the point, obviously I've gone off at a tangent.
Yeah.
Viennese waltz, you're doing the same thing. So everyone's doing the same thing. It's easy to judge. So that couple, they did a waltz, and they didn't close their feet once. Now, if we were to do a waltz, we do lots of base actions, we do lots of closing of feet, and you would hopefully tell without music that it was a waltz. So I could be doing that on the floor next to him. So it's very different, very difficult to judge it, because equally they're probably just as musical and beautiful, but they're very different, poles apart, completely different ways of interpreting and dancing a waltz. So how can you judge it? Because it's completely different.
It is very different.
It's completely different
in that respect.
Yeah, but this couple dancing that waltz were from the WDSF Federation, who added extra steps into the Viennese waltz. So there you go. That probably answers your question.
It still must be restricted, though. I mean, there's only certain.
No, it's not. I don't think. I think they've got a syllabus, but I think in the open comps they can do what they want. Which we'll have to find some examples of it and share it for people to see, won't we? So they can see the difference. Anyway, there we go. Hopefully that's
a good question.
Lou says best way to stop gapping. Don't worry about it.
Best way to stop gapping.
Don't worry about gapping. Gapping only happens because you're not familiar with either your partner or the figures that you're dancing. The more familiar you become with your partner and the steps that you're dancing, the more opportunity you've got to stay with each other. One of the things that as children we were trained to do was to stick ourselves like glue to our partners. Now what that actually does is very restrictive. Now historically, ladies were told to stick their hips up to the man and stay there and not move. Now what that produces is an obstacle because then the lady's got nowhere to go. The man's got nowhere to go because the lady's glued to him, completely glued to him. And I remember as a child having, and I'm sure you had this as well, record sleeves put down the front. Record sleeves. And you've got to keep the record sleeve there. And so that causes you to distort yourself in a postural sense. You distort it and you fix yourself to your partner in a rather unnatural way. And what it does, it stops you from dancing individually. I know that's a bit of a
It stops you from dancing freely.
Yeah, freely.
But gapping is something that as you develop as a dancer happens less and less to the point where you don't have to worry about it. But I think even the highest level dancers will gap, a very tiny amount sometimes, depending on the steps. Specifically, if you do something with a lot of energy, a little bit of gapping might occur. It's not really an issue.
No, in a simple sense, though, what you want to do always is dance your body towards your partner. You're not trying to pin yourself to your partner necessarily or squeeze against them. What happens
you can be together without putting too much weight onto each other. So when you first dance with someone, say you've started a new partnership, you're not so familiar with each other, you might have a little bit more weight towards each other until you become a bit more acclimatized to your choreography and what you're doing, and over time that will lessen, and you can't actually see it because it doesn't look any different whether I press hard or whether I just do that, but there's a different amount of pressure there, and over time that just gets less and less to the point where perhaps you hardly even feel your partner. But it's a matter of time with that, isn't it?
Yeah, if I do this to Kelly like that, she can feel that. But if I keep doing that and keep pressing, eventually it just becomes normal.
Yeah, but you do lessen the pressure with your partner, don't you?
Yeah, no, just being silly.
Yeah.
In a dancing sense, the idea is that you turn your body towards each other like this, you see, so you are curved towards each other. But you don't try and squeeze, you just dance towards each other, and you happen to connect. One of the things that ladies tend to do, of course, they lose their body and then pull with their hands. And that's something that Margaret talked about last week, asked about as well.
Yeah.
So you've got to feel you're dancing up from the back and the base of the spine towards your partner, and then the hands go as well. And you've got to stay nice and relaxed. It's difficult. Physically, it's quite demanding. But don't try...
That then comes back to posture and core. So if your posture and core are nice and strong, you're going to dance with your partner better and not have the issue with gapping so much either.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, if you're hanging on, you're going to be like doing this all the time.
To go back to the thing, not to worry about it too much, and the familiarity. So if you put your hand up, Kel, come on, stay with me. Stay with me. I'm going to keep moving. I'm going to keep moving.
Okay.
I'm going to keep moving. Stay with me. Stay with me. Yeah. So eventually, what are you doing? You're...
Because you're moving it quite a long way that way.
Just let your arm go.
Why
Okay.
don't you do...
Okay.
Yes,
So
that's better.
it's easy. Now, if I change that, we lose each other.
Yeah.
But if I do the exact same thing every time, eventually Kelly gets used to it, and it becomes very easy. You see. But if I start changing it again,
Slap you.
it's very difficult to stay with me. So the idea is that it's just familiarity. So if you do the same thing every time in the same way, eventually your body gets used to it and it becomes easy. It's consistency. But that's not easy. It's not easy to do. But don't worry about it. As long as you stand up beautifully, which perhaps we'll look at when we do talk about poise and posture, then it'll be easy. Sit up straight, shoulders back. That's what I was asking the other day when I was doing some of the directing for that opening thing. I'll have to show you some of the the outtakes, because Kelly really does not like taking direction.
No, you're not allowed.
Breck and Beacon say gapping happens if your partner keeps looking down to check your feet are correct, doesn't it, Sylvia? Yes.
Yes, it
That
does.
does happen as well. But then you can get a bit of a connection in your foreheads, can't you?
That's a good way of practicing.
It
Stand
is.
together like that.
Yeah.
Heads together.
Blendworth Beauty said, Jude googled the best ballroom dancer. The answer was William Pino. He was surprised by this. What do you think? Well, it depends who wrote the article. I mean, that's not it's not an arbitrary answer, is it? It's not the answer.
That's
That's
just
an
someone's
opinion.
so you can't have an actual answer to that.
No, there's no answer to that. It's all subjective. What we do is subjective. It's all about beauty, and beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Right. I think if that is all for the moment, we'll put the video on.
I think we covered a lot.
We did. We had a little waffle, didn't we? We put the video on, and you have a little look. Tell us what you think, and afterwards we'll see you in about... This one's slightly shorter than last week. It's just under 30 minutes. So hopefully you'll enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
And
See you soon.
see you soon. Yeah, see you soon. See you in a minute. Enjoy, guys. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of our 30-minute dance workshops. Today we're going to be talking about footwork. And footwork is really, really important because it is your direct relationship to the floor. So in any given movement, wherever you're going, what you do with your feet is very, very important, because not only is it what allows you to move freely and efficiently and easily, but it also can denote a certain aspect or character of the dance that you're dancing. So we'll look at the ballroom first. And when you're dancing in the ballroom dances, you've either got a heel lead, a heel toe, a toe, or a toe heel when you're moving forwards. And moving backwards, you've either got a toe heel or a toe. So we'll look at those individually on their own to start with and talk about it and how it's important. And then we'll look at it in tango as well, because tango is slightly different. And there are, in addition to that, there are some other ways of using your feet to make things look particularly nice and to facilitate movement in particular figures. So let's take the heel lead to start with. So heel leads are pretty normal, and I would say most people know how to do a heel lead because it's just normal walking. Some people, of course, walk with their toes in contact with the floor, but if you do see anyone doing that, give them short, sharp shrift and tell them to pick up their feet and walk normally. We don't want any of that because it also doesn't look very good, does it? Although, to be fair, at the moment, I suppose we all might feel a bit like zombies and want to walk around like that. But no, we're going to walk beautifully. And dancing is no different. So when I do a heel lead, it literally is the heel of my foot that's going first. So I walk forward with the ball of foot first. Everything in dancing starts actually as a ball of foot. So the foot slides beautifully and then it turns into a heel as I walk. Now, depending on the dance and depending on the movement, you may pick your foot up slightly. So in a tango, for instance, you would pick up your foot very accentuated, a bit like you're wearing clown shoes when you do a heel lead in tango. It's very, very precise and very like a clown wearing clown shoes. But in the other dances, you're going to glide your feet into position a little bit more than you would just pick them up. So when you step forward, your foot slides through nicely, like this, underneath your body. A little bit of a scuff when you're wearing dance shoes, it works quite nicely. And then it goes out in front of you and turns into a heel. Okay, so you wouldn't dance like that, of course. If I did a bit of basic waltz, I wouldn't do this, because that's a bit strange. Now, when you've learnt the basic steps and where you're going, this is presuming, of course, you know the basic patterns, then you want to be able to learn to move your feet beautifully into position. Because as I said before, it's your direct relationship to the floor, and it will help you to be more efficient, look nicer, feel nicer, and again, it adds character to the dance that you're trying to do. So that's a heel lead. It's very simple, really. So a heel lead like so. And in the dances that you will do, it's not very often that you'd have more than 2 heels at any given time. So you very rarely, I can't think on top of my head actually of any time where you might go forward on 3 heels. It would be very odd. You would take 2 steps, typically then change direction or go onto a toe. There are perhaps some figures in tango where you may feel that you're doing that. Yeah, in tango you may well have it, but tango is a bit of a different thing. We'll talk about that separately. Okay, so in the waltz, the foxtrot, and the quick step and the Viennese waltz, you'll never ever have more than 2 heels at a given time, following each other. Okay. So after a heel lead comes a heel toe. Now that means that you're doing 2 things on 1 foot. So a heel lead, of course, as we've just talked about, is when you strike the floor with your heel. Now a heel toe is when your weight then goes onto that foot, and before you take the next step, you're on the toe of that foot. Okay, so this is my right foot. So I've struck the floor with my heel, and then my weight rolls and I go up onto a toe, and that becomes a heel toe. You can do it on either foot, of course. You can't do a heel toe going backwards, interestingly enough. So you can only do this going forwards. So a heel toe, so that's going up on the toe. And that's generally, the heel comes off the floor for a heel toe when your body weight leaves your foot. So that's what creates the toe aspect of a heel toe. So if you, this is a bit of an exercise for you now, just to practice this. If you're slightly dodgy with balance, don't do this with lots of space in front of you, because you might end up with a flat face. You don't want to do that. So you want to fall over. So you might want to catch something. The idea is that you're going to feel that your body weight falls forward towards your toes, over your toes, in fact, past your toes. And what it will do is it will pick your heels up off the floor. And so that will produce the rise that you need. So you haven't got to worry too much about going up on your toes. Just the movement of your weight out of your foot will pick your heel up off the floor. And so therefore it's very easy to do a heel toe. Next up, we've got toe leads. Now a toe lead is when you move forward just on the toe. Typically this is following a heel toe, because you've got to get up somehow. So some people, of course, walk on their toes all the time. But when we're dancing, we do have to use our heels and our toes at different times. So if you're a bouncer, I call those bouncers. So you've seen people that bounce around like this. Some people have that way of walking. Typically, they're quite good dancers, but because their weight's in a good place, they're ready to sprint like gazelles, ready to leap at a moment's notice and move freely. But anyway, enough of that. So a toe lead is when you're already up on your toes and your foot moves into position. Normally you'd find that when you're in this position, up on your toes, you would slide your foot into position. I can't think of any occasion really where you'd really pick up your toes like this. So when you're already on your toes, your foot will slide into position. I'm never going to pick it up and place it into position on a toe, because that's a bit peculiar. I know that many people teach foxtrot a bit like that. So if we go into a figure for a second, a natural weave for a lady, you've got a heel turn to start with, and then when you come forward out of your heel turn, you're on your toes. Now as you do this, you would want to slide your feet into position. Your heels remain off the floor as you do it. And what you wouldn't want to do is pick your feet up. Now, as I say, I know some people who have been taught to do that sort of thing which is a bit odd, really. It's a bit odd. So you want to keep your feet in contact with the floor whenever you do a toe lead moving forwards. Sometimes you have a toe when you move to the side. Now, when you have a side step, again, you're always going to slide your foot into position. You're not going to pick it up and place it to the side. Again, that's a bit strange, that. Then it takes a bit of time and looks a bit weird. So you'll always slide your foot into position if you're moving to the side on a toe. Another thing to point out here in terms of footwork, when you step to the side, you're always going to be on your toe. We never do a heel to the side. Again, that is quite peculiar. It's a bit odd, that. So when you move to the side, it's always going to be a toe. I'll get to how you do that beautifully a little bit later. But so it's always a toe. Okay, same with the left and the right, no different. The next footwork that we've got is a toe heel. And a toe heel is something that you use to come back down again. So we used this exercise earlier to go up. We let the weight go past our feet and it lifts our heels off the floor. And then we're in a position where we can do toes continuously forward. We're talking about forward for the moment. So once you've had enough of that, when you're done going forward on your toes, you're going to have to lower. So we then have a toe heel. So that means the foot goes into position, starts with the toe, and then before the left leg arrives underneath you, the other heel is on its way down to the floor. And as this leg passes, that's when the heel will touch. And we're back in what we'd call a neutral position, ready to move on into our next figure step, whatever it is that we're going to do. Now, there are rules when it comes to footwork, and it's important that you try and follow these rules when you're dancing, because not only does it look nice, feel nice, and means that technically you're correct, but if I catch you not doing the rules or not following the rules, then you're in big trouble, okay? Very big trouble. So, if we take a 4-step figure, and on step 1, we've got a heel, and then on step 2, we've got a heel toe. Step 3, we've got a toe, and then on step 4, we have a toe heel. You'll see that a heel follows a heel, a toe follows a toe, and then a toe again follows a toe before finishing with a heel. What you'll never have is a heel following a toe directly. So I'll just clarify that with regards to actually doing it for you. So if I take that 4-step figure, that was, incidentally, that 4-step example would be a feather step for a man with a preparation step, okay? So a preparation step, we're starting on the left foot. So I've got a heel here, so a heel, that's it. The next step will be a heel, because I haven't gone up on my toe here, this is just a heel. So this has to be a heel to start with. This is now going to be a heel toe, so step 2 is a heel toe. So I'm going up onto my toe here. Step 3 then has to be a toe, or has to at least start with a toe. And then if I stay on my toes for step 3, it means that step 4 has to start as a toe before I then choose to finish with a heel on that same foot. Okay, so if I'm on my toes, so the rule here is if you are elevated or up on your toes, you have to come down via a toe heel. Now, this is a particular problem for many dancers in chassés in quick step when they start backwards and a forward lock. Now, this is both men and ladies, leaders and followers are very guilty of this little error. And it does pain me. When I see it, it pains me. I get such a pain. When I see it, it upsets me as well. I shed a little tear. And I do tell my daughter that whenever she's in the studio, if we see someone doing a heel at the end of a lock step or chassé, it's actually destroying one of the little fairy houses in the forest. So she gets very upset. Don't make my daughter upset. Okay? Remember this. So in a lock step, for instance, 4 steps. So you've got heel toe, toe, toe when we cross. Now the last step is a toe heel. You must come down toe heel. Many people do this. Men and ladies, you're all guilty of it. You go up on your toes here, toe, toe, and then they do that. A plonking great heel at the end of a lock step. And it pains me. I've told you this, it already gives me such a pain. Please don't do it. All right, so it's quite a simple rule really. If you've done a toe and you're going to move on to another figure forwards, you must come down via the toe first, okay? And the easiest way to do that is to let the leg go out in front of you. Because if you're up on your toes and you let the leg go out in front of you, it's very difficult to do a heel with that foot. Whereas if you just kind of don't move the leg, you're going to kind of step out on a heel. Okay, so I'm up on my toes here, move the leg away from you, and then it's very easy to do a toe heel. Okay, slide it along the floor. As we discussed a bit earlier, when you do toe leads, and when you're moving forward on your toes, you slide your feet, you don't pick them up. Now, if you pick a foot up, it's very easy, even if your toes in contact with the floor to start with, it's very easy then to do a heel. You see, pick your foot up off the floor. If you slide your feet, like this, like I said at the very beginning, those people that walk like this, it's very difficult to do a heel lead when you walk like that. Very difficult. So if you think about dancing the way that I told you not to walk when it's a toe, it will solve your problem. Okay? That's a rule. Very important. Please don't do that one wrong. Okay? So that is about moving forwards. That's very simply all we've got. We've got 4 actions when we move forwards, essentially. So you've got a heel toe, a toe heel, and simply just a toe. Moving backwards, things are even more simple because you cannot do a heel lead moving backwards. It's just impossible. I've tried many a day to do a dance doing heel leads moving backwards, but it's a bit odd. It looks like Max Wall in reverse. So for those of you that are watching from different countries don't know who Max Wall is, look him up. Funny little fella. Anyway, it's very strange. You can't do it. So it's very, very difficult indeed. So whenever you move backwards, you've only got 2 options. You've either got a toe heel, like so, where the heel goes down eventually, or you have a toe, so where you stay elevated and your feet go backwards. That's the only 2 choices you have. When you move backwards on a toe heel, it's vital that you release the front toe. So if I'm going to go backwards now onto my left foot, and it's going to be a toe heel, I must release the front toe, okay, from this position. So the toe must release like this. So that looks nice. What this does, it puts your body weight in between your feet. It evenly distributes your body weight as you're moving. If you leave your toe in contact with the floor, what inevitably will happen is you'll fall backwards. Now this is particularly prevalent with ladies, especially in the foxtrot, because in the foxtrot you have many steps moving backwards in the same direction. So if you get it a little bit wrong on the first one, let's say you're doing a feather step, which has got three steps. If say you're doing a feather step with a preparation step, the feather, and then a reverse turn, so then you've got 5 steps moving in the same direction. So 5 consecutive steps moving backwards. So if you do it a little bit dodgy on the first one, where you don't release the toe, by the time you get to the second and third ones, you're in big trouble. Your weight's gone and your man is holding on for dear life. And then he's going to tell you off for pulling him, etc., etc. You just end up in a row. Not good. Not good at all. So, please refrain. So as we move backwards, you're going to make sure you release that toe. Now this foot then comes under your body as the heel lowers. All right? So as we move backwards, reach back with the toe first of all. There's your toe, and then the heel comes down as the other leg passes, ready for the whole process to happen again. Okay? Now also, when you move backwards, you have just toes. That's quite easy. So the example of this would be a natural weave in foxtrot for the man. So if a man goes into that, he'll turn around to the right, goes up on his toes, and then he keeps on his toes as he moves backwards. Really important here, when you have backward actions where you're on consecutive toes, your body weight must remain forwards. You must never do this. Because again, it's kind of the same sort of problem I just discussed with the ladies not releasing the toes. So when I go backwards like this, when I'm elevated, you're going to keep your body weight forward and you're going to slide your feet into position as you move backwards. And your body weight must stay forwards. That's the same for the man and the lady. So I'm just going to explain a little bit more about the toe release for the ladies. Now, or man actually, sorry, not just ladies, it's whoever's moving backwards. You only release your toe of the front foot. So as you move backwards into a toe heel or even a toe, you only release your front toe if the heel is in contact with the floor. So, for instance, the man's natural weave when he does consecutive toes going backwards. So when I'm on my toes here, now I'm on my toes, I've got stepped to the side, I'm on my toes. As I move backwards, I haven't lowered any heel at this point, so I'm going to keep my toes in contact with the floor the whole time as I go backwards, because I haven't lowered my heels, okay? So I don't need to release the toe. When I do a feather step as a lady, for instance, or a natural turn in waltz, actually we use a natural turn in waltz as a lady. So ladies, you'll go back on your left foot here to start with. That is a toe heel. Okay, you've started on a flat foot, because here's another little thing. Never start on your toes. I see this a lot actually, especially with shorter ladies dancing with taller men. So what happens is they start with their already on their toes before they go anywhere. It's really important you don't do that. It's vital that you keep your heels on the floor when you start, because that grounds you, gets your weight in the right place, ready to move. Now, if you're on your toes, it doesn't produce the right level of power. It's not right. Technically, it's wrong as well. So try to avoid that. So this is presuming you're all dancing fabulously and doing the right thing. So you stood on your right foot, weight on it, heel down. So your heel's on the floor. As you go backwards, this is going to become a toe heel. You will release that toe because the heel is in contact with the floor. Okay? So you release the toe because the heel is in contact with the floor. This foot is flat. Now as you go to the side, you pick your heels up and close your feet beautifully into your side close action. Now when you're doing a feather step as a lady, your first step is back on the left foot, which will be a toe heel. You've started on a flat foot, so you'll release that toe. Your second step is a toe heel. You've lowered this heel, so you will release that toe. And as your feet are apart like this, your weight will be equally distributed, between your feet, which is a tricky position to hold. And likewise, as you move on backwards, you're going to keep releasing those toes because you've lowered the heel on the previous step. Okay, a back lock in quick step. It's exactly the same thing. So you go back one, release the toe. Back two, here, you're going to release the toe because that heel was in contact with the floor. And then you end up with your toes both in contact with the floor at the crossing action. Okay? So that's the principle with the release of the toe, and it always looks very nice. Now, something you want to bear in mind is you release the toe and not drag the heel. That's a good thing to bear in mind. So try not to drag the heel, although sometimes thinking of dragging the heel helps you to release the toe. But you don't want to be digging any trenches in the dance floor, especially if there's any heels, the nails poking through on the heels of your shoes. A little bit about tango now. Now, tango is a slightly different animal because we don't have any rise. Now, we have toe actions in the swing dances, which denote the elevation, the rise through the feet. So we have the rise and we have the fall. So when we say toe, it will mean that there is an element of rise. Now, in tango, we never say toe, we always say ball. Because if you move back, I'll do backwards first. When you go backwards, it's the ball of foot that's in position, that's in contact with the floor, and not the toe. Now, if it's the toe, the leg is going to be straight, and which will imply you've got body flight coming, which will in turn create rise. We haven't got that in tango. So whenever we talk about tango footwork, it's always a ball heel, which keeps us flat, because the foot is picked up and placed in position. This is a very precise dance. Clown shoes on, you pick your feet up and place them, and you put your ball in contact with the floor, which stops you from going up. And then your heel goes down as you move the other foot, ball, heel. All right? So tango is a little bit different. So we're talking about, always think about your balls when you're doing the tango. When you dance forwards in tango, as I alluded to it earlier, we've got our clown shoes on, so we pick the feet up and place the foot out in front of us. It's very exaggerated, okay? Not too much, don't go too nuts with this. But the idea is you pick your foot up and place it in front of you. Heel, okay? And sometimes we'd call things ball flat in tango. So when you step to the side, ball flat. So it's the ball of foot first and then the flat foot. And another thing we have in tango, which is quite unique to the dance, is that we have this rolling action across the feet through the ankles. Now that is obvious in a progressive side step or any kind of sideways action in tango particularly, you're going to roll the weight across the foot where you'll have the inside edge of the foot or the ball of foot in contact with the floor. Now, a very good example of the inside edge of foot is in the promenade position in tango. So this is the man's action, where the inside edge of my ball of my foot is in contact with the floor. My heel is off the floor. This is promenade in tango. And likewise, if I switch across, that's promenade for the lady in tango. So the inside edge of the foot there is in contact with, sorry, inside edge of the ball is in contact with the foot there, rather than the whole foot. So if I show that from behind, it's quite nice, you see, it picks up the heel. That also tells you you're going to use this foot next. Because when a heel is in contact with the floor, it means you're not going to use that foot unless you're going to hop. And you're not doing that in any basic figures in any of the dances. And even if you're hopping, you'd still have, you'd absorb and you have a ball of foot in contact with the floor as well. So the heel only kisses the floor. You wouldn't just be planted. So if a foot is planted, if the heel is down, you're not using that foot. You're going to use the next foot. Next available leg, let's call it that. Yeah, you've only got two, haven't you? So that was tango. You've also got something to bear in mind sometimes. This is more usage of foot rather than footwork itself. When you are stepping outside your partner's feet, you're going to be using the outside edge of your foot before you then transfer your weight. So that makes things look a bit nicer. So because if you think about moving outside your partner, the idea is you're moving in a very small, narrow corridor. So to just blast through full on towards your partner, outside your partner's feet, is going to be tricky because there's not enough space. So the idea is we're dancing it in a very narrow fashion. So I'd want to feel as though I'm trying to angle my foot through a very small space as my foot steps forward outside the lady's feet. That would be like a feather step for a man, or the end of a weave ending for a lady, at the end of a chasse. So you'd have the same thing. So you'd feel like you use the outside edge of your foot before you step forward. You wouldn't just plonk it down. You'd always have a nice usage of the foot before you then place the heel. That's something to consider. But perhaps worry about that when you've got the other things. Worry about that when you don't do heels at the end of lock steps and chasses. So get that bit done first. Don't destroy any fairy houses in the forest. And then when you've established a truce with the fairies, then you can worry about using the outside edge of your feet. There's one last thing I want to talk about as well with regards to using the feet like that in ballroom, and that's a contra check. There's not many actions where you'd have this particular feeling, but it's prevalent in a contra check. Some of you will know what a contra check is, some of you might not. So when you step back into a contra check, you're using the outside edge of your foot while moving backwards. Now, normally you wouldn't have that, you see, because if you think about it, your toes on the outside of your foot are weak in comparison to the inside of your foot. Your big toe is the powerhouse when it comes to toes, so it's got all the power, the strength there. The outside edge of the feet are not as strong, and so they are more useful for articulate, beautiful angles like this, rather than weight bearing. Now, in a contra check, you do have your foot turned in, contra position, so you've got your weight on the outside of that foot, and that's a position you wouldn't have very often. You might have it in tango sometimes on the inside of turn as well, but more often than not, you're going to have it only in a contra check. So we'll finish off with a little bit about footwork in Latin. Now, Latin really is so much easier when it comes to footwork because you are so seldom using your heels. You just hardly ever do a heel lead in the Latin dances. There are a few examples in samba, well, maybe two I can think off the top of my head, a natural turn and then a cortegiaca. I can't think of, off the top of my head, I can't think of any others that have a heel lead, but in passo doble you have a fair few heel leads, which is generally when you move forwards in passo doble. But typically, you're always going to use your toes to lead with in the Latin dances. It's a little bit more accentuated than it would be in the ballroom dances. We have no rise, of course, in Latin, apart from a little bit of a body action and rise in samba. But in the typical one, in basic rumba, basic cha-cha, and those are the actions where you're going to think about more walking forwards. Dances, sorry, not actions. So you'll have a very pronounced toe lead as you walk forwards in rumba or cha-cha before the leg then moves out in front of you and then ends up on a flat foot. So as you're bringing the leg through, starts behind you, straight leg, beautiful of course, 2 straight legs at this point. You bring the knee through. I feel like I try and leave my foot behind, and it pulls and makes it very pronounced as it comes through. And then it turns and turns into a beautiful toe lead, and then I put my weight on it. And in doing so, I peel my weight off the back foot for the whole process to start again. So even the technique book doesn't really mention much about footwork, except when it's not the norm. So the norm, of course, is a toe lead or leading with a flat foot. Okay. Backwards, of course, it's the same principle. However, there's no toe release. So in the ballroom dances, when you've had your foot flat, as you move back, you would release your toe. We discussed that. But when you're moving backwards in Latin, that doesn't happen at all. As soon as the leg's gone behind you, you're immediately going to start dragging that toe again. So we don't have any toe releases. This wouldn't look good if if I did some basic rumba and did a nice toe lead going forward, and then when I moved backwards, did a bit of that. That's not very good, is it? When I did ballet as a child, that would have been called a naughty toe. So we don't want any naughty toes. When you step backwards in Latin, you're going to have beautiful, good toes. And again here, I'm turned out onto the outside edge. So my weight, there's no weight in my front foot, sorry, but I've got pressure on the outside edge of the toes. It makes it look nice. So that's not quite right. That closes the hip as well, doesn't allow you to open up and present yourselves. So Latin is much more simple. Essentially, always go forward on the toe, because you can't really go wrong in that respect. Slide your feet. If you keep your feet in contact with the floor, you cannot do a heel lead. So when you slide your feet forward, you'll always do a toe lead. And if you're doing a Latin dance, that's generally going to be a good thing. If you're doing paso doble, there are some things where, of course, you'll need to do heel leads, but most of the time when you're walking forwards, particularly. In the ballroom, of course, things change a bit. So there are a lot more things to worry about with regards to ballroom, but hopefully some of the rules I've told you previously will help you. So just to reiterate, a heel always follows a heel, and a toe always follows a toe. So that's what you've got to bear in mind and remember. So once you're up, you're always going to have to come back down via your toes. That's really important. So never, from an elevated position, never come down via a plonking great heel, because it pains me. It pains me. So difficult. Anyway, I hope that's been informative. A little bit about footwork. If you've enjoyed it, please do like this video. See you soon. There we go, everyone. Hopefully that was of use. Hang on, that way. There we go. So there we go. What did you think, Cal?
I thought it was good.
Did you learn a lot?
So much.
I thought so. I thought you would. Yes.
I thought it was nice and clear. Hopefully everyone...
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Sometimes footwork can be a little bit confusing.
I wanted to try and make it simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
It can be much more
It's still,
complicated.
it's still, you still have to go over your steps though, I find. I find the best way to learn footwork is just go through your choreography and learn what your heels and toes are for each step. And eventually you start to pick up on those rules and patterns that are there.
Of course, timing can associate,
Yes.
is strongly associated with footwork as well. So
Yeah.
they all kind of go hand in hand. Of course, knowing what your footwork is pointless until you know what your steps are. So the vehicle with which you get around the floor is the most important thing. And then you put the footwork in as well, because unless you're a trained dancer and you've established those rules in your movements, you won't apply the correct footwork to start with, so you'll need to learn the patterns. And then you apply the footwork to the patterns based on timing.
Yeah. It's a bit of a process, I think, when you're first learning.
It is.
Yeah, you're right. If you don't know where you're going, you can't apply the footwork. So if you're struggling with your routine or your patterns in your choreography, don't stress too much until you feel a bit more okay with those. That's how we always sort of stress things.
Well, yeah.
And then if you can, you add on something. So even if it's something simple like go up on 2 in your waltz, if you can remember to do that, then that's sort of building up a habit that then you don't have to think too much about moving forward on a heel on 1 and things like that. Simple little rules, and then you just slowly build them up, don't you?
Yeah.
But practice the chassis and lock steps.
Oh, absolutely, because it does give me such a pain. when I see those
Because
heels.
you'll always do them. That's the
Oh.
thing. You'll always do chassis and lock steps, won't you?
You'll never stop doing a chassé and a lock step as long as you dance.
Yeah. So if you hit the nail on the head with that one early on, then you're setting yourself up nicely.
Yes.
Yeah. Because that is a big one that people struggle with, isn't it? All the
Oh.
time.
Tough.
All the
It's
time.
a difficult one. It is difficult. It is difficult. So
I think picking the feet up can be a big culprit for that. When you pick your feet up and you're moving forward, it's really easy to plonk a heel down where you shouldn't. So
don't be a plonker. That's all we can say, isn't it? Don't be a plonker.
Don't be a plonker.
Yeah, don't be a plonker.
Yeah.
So if anyone's got any more questions related to that or something else, that'll be useful. We've got a question here. What figures, other than a quick open reverse and 3-step, have 2 heel leads in ballroom? So, in answer to that question, not many. There's a running weave in waltz for the lady, which can have 2 heel leads. The tumble turn in coming out of a bounce fall away for a lady can also have 2 heel leads. But it does depend on how you dance it, and it does depend on how you use the music. So as I just said, footwork is strongly associated with timing. So if you have a timing that is... so let's take waltz for an example. If you've got a waltz timing that's 1, 2 and 3, that's 4 steps in that bar of music. You've got a whole beat on the 1, so that's going to be a heel. Now the 2, you're having a whole beat probably as well. No, 1, 2, 3 and actually. 1, 2, 3 and, yeah. So 1, 2 and 3 will be heel, heel, toe, 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 heel. 1, 2, 3 and will be heel, 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 toe, toe, heel.
Sure about that? Heel, heel. Heel, heel, toe, 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 heel.
That's 3 heels. I'm making it up as I go
You
along,
did,
aren't I?
you did 3 heels.
I did 3 heels, didn't I?
Yeah. Only 2 heels. You just got confused. See how easy
Yeah,
it is?
so it's so easy to get confused.
It did. Timing does affect it. If you're accentuating the end of the step,
Yes.
your rise will be later.
See-
If you're accentuating the beginning of the step, the figure, your rise will be slightly earlier, which would then affect your footwork.
So that's about acceleration, isn't it? So you can accelerate at the end of a bar of music or accelerate at the beginning of the bar of music. If you accelerate at the beginning, you'll have a heel toe. If you accelerate at the end, you'll have 2 heels. So, but again, yeah, so the way in which you use the timing and the running weave for the lady or the bounce fall away into the tumble turn depends on how what you do with your feet. It's complicated, see? It does get a bit complicated.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other occasions, actually.
I mean,
It's very rare.
Yeah, those 2 steps spring to mind, but nothing else really springs to mind where there's 2 heels.
Nothing in foxtrot
And for
other than a
those,
3-step.
they're both for the man. I mean, I don't know, apart from what you've already said, any instances where the lady does 2 heels.
No.
Really can't think of anything. Of course, you do more heels in tango.
Yeah, well, tango.
But
yeah,
tango
tango's
aside,
different.
put
Tango aside.
tango aside.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of anything where the lady does 2 heels.
No. Yeah.
Apart from maybe a tumble turn.
Yeah.
Um,
Brecon Beacon says, very useful, but I fear many fairies are doomed until I get it right.
Many fairies get sacrificed. Sigrid says, how much comes with muscle memory?
How much? Lots.
Lots.
Lots. It's just repeat,
Yeah.
constantly.
That's why if you can practice, say, just one figure, like a chassis or a lock step, with the correct footwork, and do it again and again and again and again, all correctly, and then when you do it wrong, do it again and correct it. Eventually the muscle memory kicks in. But muscle memory there's no way of making it quicker. You just got to keep doing it.
Following the rules as well is quite useful. So in the waltz, for instance, heel on 1, toe on 2, land on 3 is a general good rule to have in waltz, for instance, to help you. And in the quick step, you're going to do heels on slows when you go forwards, and then toes on quicks. And then you'll always end, obviously, as I said, at the end.
Similar to foxtrot.
Similar to foxtrot. And at the end of a toe action, you're always going to come back down. So in basic quick step, slow, quick, quick, slow, you'll start with a heel. You've got 2 toes in the middle, and then you'll have to come down via your toe heel at the end, because you never come down via your heel, as I showed you earlier with those little graphics. Kelly missed those.
I did miss
missed
them.
the
I
graphics.
didn't catch them.
Yeah.
But I think footwork, once you understand the general rules, then most of the time you can work it out, can't you?
Yes.
And part of it just starts to feel natural or not natural. Sometimes you might do something, you think, well, okay, it feels strange doing it that way, so you try it a different way and it feels better. So I do think when it comes to more sort of elaborated choreography, you can play around with it a little bit, can't you? But not in your basic actions, though. They are fundamentals that you don't mess with.
And that's why you start with basics. That's why we make sure that people come in and learn the basics. If you want to learn to dance properly, you learn the basics first of all, and then from that you can then do other things, because they form the foundation of everything you will ever do.
Yeah.
So,
well, and once you know them, doing more complicated stuff really doesn't faze you at all.
No. You haven't got to think about the footwork because it's just there. And it's because it's connected with the timing and the movement.
Yeah, because your timing then, if someone gives you a step, and then generally what would happen, people would give you some choreography, and then they would give you the timing for that choreography. And if you know the steps and the timing, then generally you can associate your footwork with that. And you'll have very few moments where you might have a question mark in your head as to what your footwork should be, because the timing and the step together would dictate that for you. So you'll probably work your footwork out. But that comes from doing your basic actions and doing them correctly with the timing and the footwork. And all those little rules just fall into place, don't they?
They do. They do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's footwork in a nutshell.
It is. Oh, in a nutshell.
Don't say that.
Sorry. So I'm not sure whether I covered your question, Team Brighton.
About the Latin footwork.
Well, her actual question was, can you explain, out of all the things we need to remember in Latin footwork, what's the most important thing to remember? Sliding your feet, really.
Don't do heels when you're walking forward.
That's it.
Really
unless you're doing pas de deux.
The fundamental thing.
How important is the turning the side of your foot onto the floor in certain places? What's the point of that? So I think you mean by the
inside or outside
inside or outside of the foot. So the inside of the foot is when your legs would pass. So when your feet are passing in Latin, the foot that's passing the flat foot, you'll brush the inside of that foot against the other one. And then when you're presenting or when you're stepping backwards and stopping, you'd always have the outside edge of the toes in contact with the floor, because that's what we call a gesture or a presentation. So you would have the foot slightly turned out, because angles and curves are beautiful.
Yeah. If you actually just put the foot flat out in front of you, it would look flat. It doesn't look right, does it?
You can talk about that for a second while I just sort the oven out.
Okay. Or if you put the point... So if you just stand there and you put the point forward... if you just had it flat on the floor with your heel up, but all toes in contact, so it's kind of even, I should do that a bit higher, evenly distributed, then it would look wrong. So if you then point the foot forward and you angle it so your weight is on the outside edge of the foot, it looks a lot better. So then when the foot's behind you, the opposite would happen, where your inside edge of your toes would be in contact with the floor. So that just gives you a nice angle to the foot. So that is all about how it looks. So Latin, you've got to remember, with Latin, you can see your legs, and if your legs are on show, you want them to look good all the time. I think more so from the lady's perspective, from the man's as well, but he's got long black trousers on, so you don't see the man's legs so much, but you do see the ladies. So it's really important that she is using her inside or outside edge really, really correctly, because then your legs will always look nice. And if you don't have those lovely angles, it just doesn't look right. If you've got the weight in the wrong place in the foot, it just doesn't look right. And that's the best way I can describe it. Put your foot in front of you. If you do it flat, you can see it just doesn't look right. Put the weight towards the outside edge of the foot, and it'll look a lot better. And then do the same going backwards. If you put it flat backwards, it won't look good. Turn it out slightly, it looks a lot better. And that gives you a clear idea of what you should be doing. When your feet are together, again, you want your ankles together, very slight curve of the ankle coming in. You don't want the ankle sticking up. You want those ankles to look like they're touching.
What's that child doing? It's that poor dog.
Ella, get off him. Yeah, so it's all about angles, and particularly I think ladies want to pay attention to that, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Because
Yes.
I was saying that their legs are on,
Well,
are on
they're
show.
exposed, aren't they, all the
Yeah,
time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is about that. It also helps with your balance, doesn't it? Like James said in the video, your big toe is stronger than your little toe. So most of the time in Latin, you've got your weight towards the inside edges of your feet, because that's going to help you with your balance as well. And effectively in Latin, it sometimes feels like you're walking on a tightrope, doesn't it? So you want to have that little bit of turnout to give you extra base of support, and also to help you balance. Everything pulls in when you want to pull in and activate your core, and that all starts from the floor for sure. If you haven't got your feet sorted out, your core is still going to be weak. There we go. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, good.
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit distracted by the crazy
Everyone's talking about Buddy.
the dog behind us.
Is Buddy feeling better now? Yes, he is feeling better. I, however, am not. He has grown a lot. What is he? He's 3.5 months now. So in a couple of weeks he'll be 4 months old. He is very, very fluffy though. I mean, he's got about 2 inches of fur we could cut off. Yes, he needs a haircut.
He does.
I don't know where to go yet for that. I have to find
Hairdressers? Dog hairdressers?
a dog groomer. Yes.
So, Julian said that Latin footwork being easier than ballroom because ballroom is the purer discipline.
Oh, I think you'll find Latin people bear up about that.
And Sarah Ball says that in Latin, transferring weight is more important and grounding your feet into dance floor so you don't bounce. Well, I would argue that Ella, try and be quiet. Try and giggle quietly.
If you're going to be in here, you've got to be quiet, sweetheart.
I would argue as well that transferring of weight is really, really important in ballroom as well. I want to do something about that at some point. A little lecture about
Transferring weight in ballroom.
yeah. Well, that's drive actions, isn't it? To a certain degree.
There's quite a bit more to
Yeah.
discuss in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't want to bounce in anything really, even quick step. You don't want to bounce too much. It should be pretty flat across the floor. Certain actions, like hops and skips, of course, but you still want to absorb everything inside your body a little bit. Brecon Beacons, are steps taught the same worldwide? Would you notice a difference between UK and USA dancers, for example, doing the same dance steps? No, not if they're doing the ballroom syllabus, because the ballroom syllabus that was devised in like the 20s and 30s went out worldwide, and then people added their own things to it. But essentially, the basics of that, ballroom and Latin, are the same. So the structure and the foundation of everything we do all over the world is the same. So you can interpret things differently, but a heel is going to be a heel and a toe is a toe. That doesn't change.
I'm
Oh
sorry.
my God.
It's like they're sat there like little people. He's been sat like that for ages, bless him.
I didn't notice. Now he's eating your arm. Yeah, so it's the same forever, wherever. However, what the Americans have got is obviously American smooth and American rhythm. So, rhythm is slightly different, but it's based on the Latin dances that we've done or we do as well. But they've got their own slight quirks
Smooth
with it.
based on the ballroom.
Smooth based on the ballroom. So yes, so some things are different in that respect. But if you're doing what they call international ballroom in Latin, then no, generally speaking, it's all the same. The foundations are the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't let anyone tell you any different. Interpretation, of course, is different, but as I said, a heel's always a heel
Yeah,
and
I
toe's
would
always
say
a
that.
toe.
Yeah,
You-
anywhere you go, different countries have different styles, perhaps, don't they?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's-
style is different thing altogether.
That's
again.
different to yeah. Everyone's basically doing the same.
It's
sort of
based on
steps.
biomechanics. Essentially, it's the way that the heel and the foot and everything is designed and how we are made. So you can't really do it any other way. It'll be different, of course, depending on the person, because every body is different. So my heel lead's going to look different to Kelly's heel lead, different to Ella's heel lead, for instance. They're all going to look different, but the process is still the same. The way in which we create rise is still going to should be the same. It's all a process.
Okay.
There you go. I know, deep.
Deep and meaningful. To me.
Oh, I know. What can I say? But
Was
I
that
know.
everything?
Well, no one else has asked anything else yet, and no one's really given me anything to talk about for tomorrow. You see.
Oh, yeah. So we haven't had anything for
No, we
tomorrow
haven't.
yet. So people need to give us a little idea what
Well-
else you want us to talk about.
We've got posture and poise as one, which is something we can do. I've gone slightly out of focus, haven't we?
Yeah, yeah.
Slightly out of focus. Hang on.
Posture poise, yeah.
Da, da, da. Even worse.
That didn't work,
No, it did not.
I got my yawn in though, and all blurry.
Oh no, we've gone all terribly blurry.
Okay,
Very nice soft focus though, isn't it? It's delightful soft focus.
it's good.
Yeah.
We look better.
You think so?
Well, I look better.
You look better blurry.
Well, you pipe down at the back there.
You look better blurry.
All right.
All right, Ella.
I
that's
did
enough.
ask you to get your pajamas on, didn't I, earlier?
Yes. Please, can you go and get your pyjamas on? You can leave Buddy with us for a minute while you do that. Let me
Pass-
kiss Buddy, please. Pass
pass
me
the-
the dog,
The dog to Daddy.
who doesn't like me very much. Ella.
He does.
Ella.
Ella, that's
Thank
enough.
you. Thank you very much. Go and get your pyjama jams on.
You can hold his head up and say hello. Look at his fairy
Ella,
face.
go and get your pyjamas on.
His eyes are covered again in fur. James,
Hate it.
James isn't used to
He
dogs.
smells a bit like chocolate.
That's probably Ella's hands.
Yeah. It does. He smells like chocolate. He's not eating chocolate, of course. We know he's not allowed to eat chocolate.
No. He's not eating chocolate.
No, it's not eating chocolate.
Oh, there. Yeah, look, because she's got some on him, I reckon. Oh, no, that
Well,
might
I
be
hope it's chocolate.
That's tomato sauce. Oh, for goodness sake. Ella gets
Obviously,
everywhere.
The trouble, of course, is when you've got a white little fluffy teddy bear of a dog, he's going to show up all the stuff, isn't he?
He does, yeah.
Yeah. Look at the camera.
every
Buddy. Look at the
time-
camera.
Every time we go for a walk, we have to wash his paws at least.
You're
don't
famous. You're in the credits. You're in the opening credits.
we? He doesn't bark much unless it's at night when we want to sleep.
Yeah.
Hmm.
There we go. Anyway, right. So if anyone's got anything else, how's Doris these days? Does she get on with Buddy?
They're getting acquainted. That's how I would put it. He sometimes chases her up the stairs. She hisses back at him. Every now and then they walk towards each other and have a near sniff, not a nose to nose sniff, don't they?
Yes.
They've had a few near sniffers.
They're getting closer.
Sniffers.
They're getting
Sniffing.
closer.
Yeah.
Eileen, can I clarify what you mean by that? You've asked a question. Can you cover hand-to-hand positions, please? Do you mean the hand-to-hand position, which is a figure in rumba and cha-cha,
Cha-cha.
or do you mean physically hand to hand? I'm not entirely sure I don't understand, basically. I'm sorry, I don't understand. Apparently, Plymouth Beauty says James Prout and the Dog Whisperer. No.
No, he's not.
No.
No.
Oh, another comment.
You might not be surprised to know that James has managed to spook Buddy a little bit. So. Oh, Scruffy to Fluffy in Clanfield for clipping dogs' claws.
It's quite a trek
But
from here.
groomers as well. Yeah, I need to find somewhere local, perhaps.
Thank you, Julie, though.
Thank you. I'm sure there must be somewhere. I mean, the what is it? The Pets at Home place do them. I don't know if they're any good.
Well, I'd like to find some little
or
independent
if
person.
there's an independent person that's any good. That's probably preferable. But
You want... Okay, so I've got a clarification on that question. Physically, such as how the man holds the lady's hand in Wolves, for example. So are you... Is that a question from you, Eileen, for Phil, because he doesn't touch you correctly? Is that what it is? You want him to have a better touch? Is that what it is? More of a woman's touch. That reminds me of a Blackadder episode, but you wouldn't know what I'm talking about.
no, I haven't really seen much Blackadder.
He has a woman's... It doesn't matter. Anyway, mate, it's funny. It's funny. Yeah, we could do something like that. The way in which you use your hands. Yeah, absolutely right. Yep, that's good. That's not a 30-minute lecture, though. So that there might be an odds and
So
sods
much
one
fluff.
where we do a lot of different things.
So much fluff.
I can try and couple that into the hold, maybe. Frame.
You could talk about posture,
We'll do-
poise, and hold. Couldn't you? That could incorporate
No,
that.
trust me, I've got enough of posture and poise to
Okay.
last a week.
Hold and frame. Then
Yeah, hold and
separately.
frame.
So wiggly.
Yeah, you can get mobile dog groomers, And then the
Yep.
next one under that was from Eileen Hawkins. It's from Phil in capital letters.
Okay.
Are you sure? Are you sure, Eileen? Because it does. That's the sort of sort of question you would ask. How about Latin arms for a lecture? Yep, can do that as well.
What do you think, buddy?
He's not interested. He's not interested.
Do you think he
Okay.
can see himself?
I don't know. Not when I not when I turn it off the screen. You
No.
can't.
Oh, I realise that. He just looked like he was looking at himself.
Oh yeah, he
didn't
did. Right. I think we're done here now tonight. I think we're done. I've got a few ideas.
Wait, because I really want to show them the
Okay.
thing which I created.
Okay. Ella wants to show you all something.
But when I put my pyjamas on,
Have you not put your pajamas
Oh,
on yet?
hurry up then.
What have you been doing?
Faffing. You need some scissors for that.
Right. What have
Got
you got
some
to
new
show
pyjamas from Christmas time.
everyone? Is it what you made today?
yes.
Well, you better go and get it then.
Yeah, but
Quickly.
I've got to do my pyjamas first.
Oh, this will fit me this top.
well, someone's getting bigger.
Oh, what's going on here? Is that
Well,
supposed
that's it.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Ella, go inside. Go out there.
Go out there.
Goodness me.
Naked child on the screen. Come on, quickly, because these people want to go. These people want to go. They've got lives to lead. They've got people to see, places to go, nightclubs to visit. Oh, hang on.
So did you decide what you were going to do tomorrow?
Nope.
Oh. I thought you were going to do posture
I
poise.
make it up as I go along, Kel. You know that.
Posture poise, wasn't
Posture and poise maybe tomorrow. Yeah, I
it? Or
might.
the hold.
That might. Well, if I do the hold, I need you.
Oh, no, I can't be in it.
I need a body to do it with, don't I?
Can't be in it.
You can't do that without a body. Have you ever something in my eyebrow?
Hmm.
I had a face mask today.
Oh, bless him. Yeah, he came down with a white
Yeah.
face.
I did. So it leaves lingering little bits. Ella, hurry up! That girl has
James
no
has more
sense
facial
of time.
products than I do. I have nothing at the moment.
Something because I bought them a while ago.
And
there's-
you've got-
I use tiny bits.
James has got his own cleanser, his own moisturiser, his own face mask, and his own eye creams. I have.
No. I haven't got any eye creams. I bought this stuff to make my own eye creams.
Ah, well, you
I haven't
haven't
done it yet.
I've got nothing.
Well, you can have some of my eye cream that I make.
Here she is.
I have to be very careful.
Okay.
It's still drying, isn't it?
So as you can see, everybody, I think you know what this is.
Anyone guess?
There's no prizes.
Buddy wants to eat it.
It's not food.
Ella made this today out of clay in
She
her
did.
art session.
Air drying clay.
Yeah.
You like it, don't you?
Yeah.
Well done. Could you eat it?
No.
Oh. But look, Buddy's looking at it. Look.
He is, yeah.
Yeah. We went for it.
Bless him.
Well done, Baps. Well done. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
is
Linda
it?
Bloomer got it. Stonehenge.
Ah, well
Yeah,
done.
she get- but yeah, it's
It
pretty
is-
obvious.
It is Stonehenge.
Pretty obvious. Yeah.
You
Right.
can pop it down now, so you take it back.
But also it's
Take
a
it
bit,
back and
but
then come back
also
to say
that's
goodbye
a bit
quickly.
wobbly because I'm not.
You can fix it when you put it back.
Okay.
Bless
Right,
him.
so we're back again next Wednesday and next Friday, of course. Matteo and Jessica are with you on Sunday night.
Sunday
For a bit
Tuesday.
of Latin and some salsa. Tuesday for stretch. Thursday for Latin fusion. And then obviously in between that we're with you on Wednesday and Friday. We're always around though. If anyone's got any questions in the meantime, please do drop us a message. We're
Yeah.
always happy to get all your information, to take your questions at any time. We haven't got anything else to do, so just drop us some messages.
Bye.
We haven't gone exactly yet.
Bye.
We haven't gone completely yet. So anyway, that's it now.
They're nice jammies.
Thank you very much. Apparently, Ross Canning says we're
If
better
you
than
can touch
Gogglebox.
me, Fiona.
Ah.
Hang on, let me feel. It feels lovely. I'm
Really
just gonna
nice.
I'm going to be rubbing you all night now.
Hey, you could wear those out, those pyjamas.
You could, couldn't you?
They're a little bit big, but
Don't jump around.
Dance party.
You're going for a party.
Dance
Ella,
party.
let me take your hair out. I want you to do that. I want you to do your
hair swoosh.
do the hair swoosh that you did on the intro credits. Actually, the one you did on the intro credits was much better.
Yeah, well,
That was one take as well.
That
One
was-
take.
But this is it. This is it.
Show me.
Feel myself. Feel me, buddy. Feel me.
all right.
Look, goodness sake.
You do realise he's a dog.
Actually, you did it much better. One take wonder. You
So
were. You're
what
trying
does he
too hard
look
now.
like? So what does he
Well,
look
I'll
like?
show the credits again for people if they want. I'll do the credits again at the end.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, everyone, we'll leave you now, and thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to have you this
Can I
evening,
hold him now?
and
Oh,
yeah,
careful. Gently,
that's
gently,
it.
darling, gently.
I'm going to go and try and have some dinner and deal with these nutcases that I live with. All right. If you want to see those credits again, they are on YouTube. I'll share you a little link so you can have a little watch just to amuse yourselves if you want. Yeah, that's it. Anyway, everyone, thank you very much. We've got a little end video, of course, as always. See you soon. Take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Say bye.
Bye. Buddy says bye.